Hello again, vinyl community. This is Matt, and today I'm bringing you part 2 of my mini-series about the Telstar compilation albums, the greatest hits of. These were released in the UK, typically towards the end of the year. So in this example, this is the greatest hits of 1988. This would have had what was, in Telstar's opinion, all of the biggest hits of the year. Last time I showed you my vinyl collection, I only have a few of these on vinyl. I have 85, 86, and 87. I do have 87 on CD as well, which in my opinion is actually one of the better albums. And the CD version is identical to the LP, same track listing, same order. Really the only difference is that the insert doesn't have any detailed information about each track. You just get a picture and the artist's name and the track name. So let's start off with the greatest hits of 1988. This is one of the best releases in this series, in my opinion. It has a lot of number ones on it, a lot of really solid pop songs from '88. The insert for this one actually does have, it's a trifold, it actually does have detailed information about each track listing, which is nice. And yeah, let's take a look at the tracks. Here's the back of the album. Pretty simple. We start off with Tiffany, I Think We're Alone Now. Rick Astley, Together Forever. Love Will Save the Day by Whitney Houston. Roses Are Red by the Mac Band. Cross My Broken Heart by Sunita. That's the Way It Is by Mel and Kim. So we're only 6 tracks in, and already half of them have been Stock Aitken and Waterman produced tracks, who certainly in the UK were probably the biggest music producers right around when this compilation would have come out. 88 and 89 were really their years. Track 7 is the live version of Candle in the Wind by Elton John. We then have a number 1 by Aswad, Don't Turn Around. Perfect by Fairground Attraction. Crash by The Primitives. Erasure, A Little Respect. You notice that A Little Respect actually has an asterisk next to it up here. That's because it was still in the charts when the compilation was put together. And according to this, it got to number 5, I think. Oh no, number 4. Number 4. I think that is actually correct. It did end up at number 4. But I guess it was still in the top 10 or something when they compiled the album, so they didn't know for sure if it would go any higher. After that, we have Taylor Dayne, Tell It to My Heart. Harry Enfield, Loads of Money. Now, Harry Enfield was a British comedian. Funnily enough, I actually went to the same college as him, but he was a number of years ahead of me. He's probably 15 years older than me. So, and Loads of Money was one of his characters, and he came out with this atrocious track called Loads of Money, Doing Up the House. It got to number 4 in the charts. Doesn't surprise me. Us Brits tend to, I don't know, whenever a novelty song comes out, we tend to panic buy them in droves and send it to either, if not number 1, then at least the top 10 in the charts, and yeah, easily the worst song on the album. We then have Doctor in the TARDIS by the Time Lords, and Jason Donovan, Nothing Can Divide Us. Jason Donovan was another Stock Aitken and Waterman produced artist. CD2, we have Kylie Minogue, I Should Be So Lucky, continuing the Stock Aitken and Waterman theme. Billy Ocean, Get Out of My Dreams, Get Into My Car. I Want You Back, the 88 remix by the Jackson 5. LA Mix, Check This Out. Tiffany, Could Have Been. Jola Taxi by Vanessa Paradis. Boys by Sabrina. The Only Way Is Up by Yaz and the Plastic Population. Girlfriend by Pebbles. Push It by Salt and Pepper. I Need You by BVSMP. Doctor in the House by Cold Cut featuring Yaz and the Plastic Population. Beat This by Bomb the Bass. Rock the House, the Beatmasters featuring the Cookie Crew. And we finish off with the number 1, which is S Express, the theme from S Express. So like I said, I think this 88 version is one of the best in terms of the of how many number 1s it has, the nostalgia factor. It's got a lot of really great pop songs from the late 80s. And it was a really good continuation from 87, which I also think is one of the better ones. Okay, the greatest hits of 89. This is a little bit of a step down, to be honest. It's not as good as 87 or 88. Again, we have artist information in the booklet here. We open it up. You do get some details, which is nice. The CDs are a little bit better, the design, than the previous ones. There's the 89 one. They actually put a little bit more detail, a bit more background color. If you compare it to, let's say, the 88 version, which is that, and the 87 version, which is even plainer, really. I mean, that's it. It's the 87 version. So the track listing for 89, like I said, it's not as good in my opinion. Here's the back. We start off with Something's Got a Hold of My Heart, Mark Almond featuring Gene Pitney. It was a big #1 hit. I don't really blame them for starting with that. We then have Americanos by Holly Johnson, Baby I Don't Care by Transvision Vamp, Wait by Robert Howard and Kim Mazar, which is actually a really excellent pop song. Can't Stay Away From You, Gloria Estefan and Miami Sound Machine. Drama by Erasure. Interesting note, the version of Drama that I was used to, which is on the Wild album, and also on Now That's What I Call Music 16, this is different to that. This is like a remix. It's up tempo. It's like a dance version of it. I don't know if it's quite as good as the original, but it's a nice change. It's a good take on it, and I kind of like it. We then after that we have Boy Meets Girl, Waiting for a Star to Fall. Excellent track. Swing the Mood by Jive Bunny and the Master Mixers. That was a #1 hit. This Time I Know It's For Real by Donna Summer. I Haven't Stopped Dancing Yet by Pat and Mick, which is possibly the worst track on the album. That's the Way Love Is by 10 City. Gladys Knight, License to Kill, James Bond theme track. Hold Me in Your Arms by Rick Astley. Help by Bananarama and Lana Nana Ninu. I'm sorry, no. Lana Nini Nunu. There you go. I knew I'd get it right sooner or later. That was a charity song for Comic Relief in 1989. I did give a bit more information on that in one of my Now That's What I Call Music videos, because it's also on Now 14. Next up, finishing off actually disc 1, is Ferry Cross the Mersey, which was the Christians, Holly Johnson, Paul McCartney, Jerry Marsden and Stock Aitken Waterman. That was a #1 hit. It was a charity single for Hillsborough, which was a soccer disaster during the FA Cup semi-final, I believe it was. A lot of Liverpool supporters died, and it was a charity single to raise funds and raise awareness for that. CD2, we start off with Pump Up the Jam by Technotronic. That's a solid start. Cuddly Toy by Roachford. Fine Young Cannibals, She Drives Me Crazy. Bobby Brown, Every Little Step. Edelweiss, Bring Me Edelweiss. Kim Wilde, Four Letter Word. The Reynolds Girls, I'd Rather Jack. That's one of the worst Stock Aitken Waterman tracks, actually. It's not great, but we then have Fine Time by Yaz. The Living Years by Mike and the Mechanics. Requiem by the London Boys. The Baby I Love Your Way Freebird medley by Will to Power. Con Can, I Beg Your Pardon. Damien, The Time Warp. Bros, Can Among the Pigeons, and Big Fun, Blaming on the Boogie. So I think this album is at least worth having. If you're a fan of like the hits albums and the Now albums, it does have a few tracks that aren't on either of those. Specifically, Damien, The Time Warp is not on any of those. I mean, whether you think it's a good song is another matter, I guess. And also, I'd Rather Jack by the Reynolds Girls. Not one of Stock Aitken Waterman's better tracks, but like I said, it's not on any of the Now hits albums. So if you're a bit of a completist for the year 1989, then you might want to think about it. Okay, the greatest hits of 1990. Featuring very prominently, we can see Paula Abdul on the front cover there. I can't figure out who the other people are, but anyway. This isn't a bad one. It does show the shifting trends at the time, and we'll see that there's a lot more kind of dance, house-oriented stuff on here. We had a little bit of that with the 88 version in particular, but I don't have the insert for this album. The CDs are pretty plain, but it's colorful, so it's, you know, it's okay. I'm just going to adjust the camera here real quick. That's a little bit better. And here's the back. And the track listing, let's have a look. We start off with Killer by Adamski. That's pretty solid. Love Shack by the B-52s. Paula Abdul, Opposites Attract. Lonnie Gordon, Happening All Over Again. Don't Be Good to Me by Beats International featuring Lindy Layton. That's a little bit of a club classic, that one. Mona by Craig McLachlan. Craig McLachlan was an actor. He played the character Henry in the Australian sitcom Neighbours, continuing the trend of Kylie Minogue, Jason Donovan, who were also both in Neighbours, and also Stephen Dennis, who was a one-hit wonder in the UK. He also had a top 10 single called Don't It Make You Feel Good. So several of these, and Natalie Imbruglia, later on in the 90s, she was also a neighbor. She played a character named Beth. So it's kind of funny, all these sitcoms had, one sitcom had all of these singers coming out of it. We then have, after Mona, we have Could Have Told You So by Halo James, The Power by Snap, Get Up Before the Night Is Over, Technotronic featuring Yaki K. Unfortunately, this I don't think is a single release. It's some other mix of it. I'm not crazy about this version of it. We then have Doing the Do by Betty Boo, Hear the Drummer Get Wicked by Chad Jackson, Groovy Train by The Farm, Hold On by En Vogue, Lambada by Kayoma, and one more, Infinity by Guru Josh, and that's the end of Disc 1. Disc 2 starts off with Total Power by Partners in Crime. That of course was from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. It's not bad. I kind of like it. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure. I did have the 7-inch single of it, but it was warped, so I ended up throwing it out. It didn't play properly. There was a lot of kind of weird wow and flutter things going on. You could hear the tempo shifting when it went over the warp. Next up, we have Jimmy Somerville, You Make Me Feel Mighty Real. Another guilty pleasure, Thunderbirds Are Go by FAB featuring MC Parker. Now, I don't know how many non-Brits will be familiar with Thunderbirds, but it was essentially a puppet show from the 60s, and but it was sci-fi. So even though these were puppets, they were on strings. It was set in I guess in the future. Honestly, I don't remember it too well, but I remember they had different ships, and there were some of the characters' names were like there was Miss Penelope and Brains and several others, and they bizarrely came out with a single in 1990. It's actually not bad. All these clips from the show in it. It got to number 5 in the charts. I used to love it when I was a kid. That's probably why I tolerate it now, because objectively it's probably not that great, but it's a nostalgic song. So. Okay, next up we have a little medley here. The Brits 1990 dance medley. Now that's referring to the Brit Awards, which of course are music awards, similar to the Grammys. And it has a little medley here of Voodoo Ray, a guy called Gerald. Thieves from S Express by S Express. Hey DJ, I Can't Dance by the Beatmasters. Eve of the War by Jeff Wayne, that's the Ben Lee Brown remix. Pacific State, 808 State, We Call It Acid by D-Mob, and Got to Keep On by the Cookie Crew. Just a little medley. It's not particularly well done, to be honest with you. There's some jarring cuts between tracks. I don't think it's mixed particularly well. But apparently it did get to number 2 in the charts, so hey. After that we have Ghetto Heaven by The Family Stand. A little bit of I was going to say a little bit of an underrated track. It did get to number 2 in the charts, so I guess it wasn't that underrated at the time. Following that, we have Black Box with I Don't Know Anybody Else. The Adventures of Stevie V, Dirty Cash, Money Talks. This is the sold out mix version of the track. I don't think it's as good as some other mixes that I've heard, but it's a really great track. If you're not familiar with it, again, it's a little bit of a house club classic. Check it out. Next up, we have MC Tunes versus 808 State, The Only Rhyme That Bites. Kylie Minogue, Tears on My Pillow, that was a number 1 single. The Chimes, with a cover version of I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, a U2 song, of course. Then David A. Stewart featuring Candy Dulfer, Lily Was Here. I think that's David Stewart of the Eurythmics. Next up we have Alana Miles, Black Velvet. Jason Donovan, When You Come Back to Me. Sister by Bros, and finally, Do They Know It's Christmas by Band-Aid 2. Yes, it's Band-Aid 2, not Band-Aid. This was a #1 single in Christmas 1989. I think I'm right in saying it would be 5 years after the first one, right? It was probably still in the charts, possibly at #1 by the new year, which is how they got to put it on the 1990 compilation. And it's the same song pretty much. It's remixed. This time it's Stock Aitken and Waterman again doing the producing on it. And I actually prefer the arrangement of this version to the first one, even though I don't think the vocals are quite as good on some parts. But okay, they did a really weird thing. For the greatest hits of 1991, they split it into 2 parts. I only have part 1. I do not have part 2. And honestly, it kind of sucks. It has one #1 on it. It's only 1 disc, and it's really weird. It's got a really weird track listing on it. I don't know if they had licensing problems, but I think part of the problem was because it was split in 2. And I haven't looked this up, but my assumption is that this came out earlier in the year. They probably released this like halfway through the year or something, and released part 2 at the end of the year. That would be my guess. Otherwise, I can't think why you would split it into 2 albums. It only has 16 tracks on it. And, well, I'll read out the track listing, but it's, again, there's only one #1, and that's a terrible #1. But, okay, we start off with Shiny Happy People by R.E.M. So it's not as if that's a bad song. In fact, it's a great song. I like R.E.M. a lot. It's just, it only got to #6 in the charts. It's a bit of an odd song to lead off what was supposedly the greatest hits of 1991. Anyway, we then have Get Here by Alida Adams, All Together Now by The Farm, Promise Me by Beverly Craven, Are You Mine by Bros, Secret Love by the Bee Gees. I don't even remember that being in the charts, but it apparently got to #5. This Is Your Life by the Banderas, Get Ready for This by 2 Unlimited, The Whole of the Moon by the Waterboys. We then have Status Quo with Anniversary Waltz, which is a terrible track. New Kids on the Block, Games. I'll Be Back by Arnie and the Terminators. So, obviously a Terminator 2 situation here. I mean, well, this is the greatest hits of 91. I thought T2 came out in 92, but maybe it was 91. Preacher Man by Bananarama. The Stonk, which is Hale and Peace featuring the Stonkers. This was a charity single. It's on Now 19, which I do not have. This was for Comic Relief. Again, similar to Help by Bananarama, we saw on the 89 compilation. And it's just terrible. It got to #1, of course, because it's Great Britain, and we routinely send horrendous novelty songs to #1 in the charts, but I don't know. Anyway. The album finishes off with Happy Together by Jason Donovan, cover version of the Turtles song, and 20th Century Boy, Mark Bolan and T-Rex, of course, basically a cover version of their own song. And it's just terrible. Like I said, it's got one #1 on it. It's got a bunch of songs that didn't even make the top 10. So like Are You Mine by Bros only made #12. This Is Your Life by Banderas made #16. Anniversary Waltz by Status Quo was #16. Games by New Kids on the Block was #14. Bananarama Preacher Man only got to #20, and 20th Century Boy was #13. So in a way, it's a pointless album. It fills in some gaps, I guess, in a collection. It does have a bunch of songs that you wouldn't find on any of the Now albums or Hits albums at the time. But to call it the greatest hits of 91 is really disingenuous. It only has one #1 track on it, and it was probably the worst #1 of the year. And I don't know why they did this. I really don't. They did return to form to a certain extent for 92. It's a double album. Again, it's one of the Fat Box designs. I do have the insert for this one, and it's pretty comprehensive actually. But it doesn't. Well, no, it's, you know what? I tell a lie. It's not. It's comprehensive in the sense that it's bigger. You've got more pages than the other ones, but they're just filler. Like, you just have pictures of the artist pretty much in the middle. This has the track listing for disc 1 and 2, but it doesn't have any details about the songs. That's what disc 1 looks like. Disc 2 is a different color. It's a purple and blue situation. This one's at least a little bit nostalgic because I had this when I was a kid. This was one of the first CDs I ever got. I didn't get a CD player till I was, I think it was my 14th birthday in 1993. And this, I got this on sale, or maybe somebody bought it for me, I forget, but around the same time, around my birthday. So there's an interesting little mistake in this. It says 8 number ones. It actually has 9 number ones on it. I don't know why. I mean, I'd rather have it this way around than have it the other way around and find out, oh, there's only 7 number ones. But yeah, there's actually 9. And this is a pretty good album. It's arguably not quite as good as Smash Hits 92. Smash Hits was another compilation series in the UK. I do have several of those on CD, and I'll do another video on those some other time. But this is pretty solid. We start off with Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. This was re-released. I forget why it was re-released. It was possibly to coincide with Freddie Mercury's death, which wasn't long before this came out. It could have had something to do with Wayne's World, the infamous scene. I don't know, but it did get to number 1, so I guess I can't really knock it. We then have Goodnight Girl by Wet Wet Wet, another big number 1 hit. For Your Babies by Simply Red. And then Don't Talk, Just Kiss by Right Said Fred. That's the same Right Said Fred that did I'm Too Sexy. And it's not a bad track, actually. It got to number 3. We then have Too Funky by George Michael. Please Don't Go by KWS. Then a huge hit, Rhythm as a Dancer by Snap. That was a big number 1 in summer 92. Jump by Criss Cross. Baker Street by Undercover. That's, of course, the Jerry Rafferty track. And this is a really good dance version of it. I like it a lot. We then have another number 1 hit by The Cure this time. It's Friday, I'm in Love. We then have Give Me Just a Little More Time by Kylie Minogue. That got to number 2. Too Blind to See It by Kim Sims. That's sort of a pop dance track. Got to number 5. The Days of Pearly Spencer by Mark Almond. That was a number 4 hit. I Wonder Why by Curtis Stigers. Theme from MASH by the Manic Street Preachers. That's a kind of an early Manic Street Preachers song. And then, in my opinion, probably the best track on the album, which is Stay by Shakespeare's Sister. That was a huge number 1 hit in 1992. Disc 2, we have Ebenezer Good by The Shaman. Disc 2 is really dance and sort of house club oriented. We then have I'm Gonna Get You by Bizarre Inc. Deeply Dippy by Right Said Fred. Ain't No Doubt by Jimmy Nail. It's a Fine Day by Opus 3. Sesame's Treat by The Smart Ease. I think you can tell what that's referring to. On a Ragatip by SL2. Everybody in the Place by The Prodigy. The Bouncer by Kicks Like a Mule. I'm Doing Fine by The Pasadenas. Workaholic by 2 Unlimited. Hang On In There Baby by Curiosity. I'm pretty sure that's Curiosity Killed the Cat. Same thing. Why by Annie Lennox. You by 10 Sharp. To Be With You by Mr. Big. And Save the Best Till Last by Vanessa Williams. A little bit of a printing error on To Be With You. You can see that it should be white, like the other track names, but it's actually blue. So that's the 1992 version. I think what I'm going to do, since this video is already running at almost 25 minutes, I'm going to do what I've done before and split it up. I do have a bunch of others to go through. I have 93 through 97 as well on CD. We'll go through those in the next video. But yeah, so that was 88 through 92 that we just looked at. And they're pretty good albums, you know. Some are better than others, a little hit or miss. I would say they're all decent with the exception of 91. The best 2 could be 87 and 88, but you know, it's going to be a matter of opinion. And of course, when we take a look at the 93 through 97s, so we have 5 more albums to look at, we might find some other gems in there. Like in particular, I like the 96 version that we'll get into. So all right, guys, thanks for watching, and until next time. All right, thanks.